Let friends in your social network know what you are reading about. Aaron Judge launched 2 home runs, driving in 5, to help the New York Yankees to a 9-7 sweep, securing win over the rival Boston Red Sox. A link has been sent to your friend's email address. A link has been posted to your Facebook feed. New York, Aaron Judge is on a torrid pace, even in a 60-game season. Judge smacked his 5th and 6th home runs of the early season, driving in 5, as the New York Yankees won their 6th straight game, 9-7 over the rival Boston Red Sox. Judge's first shot to left field came in the 2nd inning, scoring 3 and giving the Yankees a 3-2 lead. Later in the 8th, after DJ LeMahieu's RBI single tied the game at 7, Judge sent a second ball to left field, putting the Yankees ahead, 9-7. "I really think he's on a mission now," said manager Aaron Boone after the Yankees became the only 7-1 team in the majors. "When he got that clean bill of health in summer camp, he started ramping up." It was the 5th straight game in which Judge has homered, the longest streak by a Yankees player since Alex Rodriguez in 2007. Judge and Rodriguez are also the only 2 Yankees ever to hit 6 home runs in the first 8 games of a season. Copyright 2020 USA Today, a division of Gannett Satellite Information Network, LLC. Plans to lay off up to 25% of its global workforce as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take a wide toll on travel, the company reported in a filing Tuesday. Has more than 17,000 employees, a company spokeswoman told CNBC. Booking Holdings, parent company, will finalize its plans and make announcements to employees on a country-by-country basis starting in September, according to the filing. Booking Holdings is also the parent company of other online travel companies like Kayak and Priceline, but the layoffs will only affect, according to the filing. The travel industry has continued to see dramatic drops in business due to the ongoing pandemic, and many believe a vaccine is needed for travel to widely return to normal. Booking, which operates travel websites such as Kayak and other sites, reported a 51% drop in first quarter gross travel bookings year-over-year. Booking is set to report second quarter 2020 earnings Thursday. Shares of Booking Holdings were down less than 1% in pre-market trading Tuesday. The company's shares are down 19.65% year-to-date. The COVID-19 crisis has devastated the travel industry, and we continue to feel the impact as travel volumes remain significantly reduced, a company spokeswoman told CNBC in a statement. "While we have done much to save as many jobs as possible, we believe we must restructure our organization to match our expectation of the future of travel." Subscribe to CNBC on YouTube. Tampa, Florida. The precision and accuracy that became trademarks of quarterback Tom Brady's game don't appear to have left him as he settles into his new home with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady joined teammates for his first practice of training camp that was open to the media Tuesday and their second one overall. "We still have got to pinch ourselves, the fact that we have him at quarterback and everything that goes along with it," tight end Cameron Brate said. "Everyone here is just super pumped." The portion of the workout that was open to the media lasted 30 minutes. The Bucks are still in a ramp-up conditioning period, much like OTA workouts, designed to acclimate them to football conditions, where they spend mornings doing 60 minutes of weightlifting and 60 minutes of conditioning before a 60-minute walkthrough in the afternoons. The length of practice sessions will increase as training camp goes on, and they will progress to padded practices. Due to social distancing, the session did not feature the entire squad. Among the 23 players in the same workout group as Brady were Brate, Mike Evans, Justin Watson, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, LaShawn McCoy and Ronald Jones, along with quarterbacks Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin. Brady could be seen shouting encouragement to his receivers. He hugged McCoy, and with a towel over his hand, fist-bumped Evans. They spent the majority of the time at the goal line, where Brady showed strong ball placement and timing before spending the final minutes on downfield throws. Brady didn't look like a quarterback with no offseason who was just starting to get acquainted with new teammates. The timing already looked strong, with the chemistry not far behind. Some of that is because of the off-season workouts he organized with teammates at nearby Berkeley Preparatory School. New teammates have taken note of his attention to detail, even in some of the early phases of him learning a new playbook. He was really on top of it in the spring, Brait said. It's all the same game, everyone runs, essentially, the same plays. You just have different verbiage for it. Just making those connections for him in his head because he was in New England for 20 years. He said it was definitely weird calling things with different terminology for him, but I think he's going to be up to speed in no time. It could seem like a perfect pass, a great ball, everything seems spot on, but if he doesn't feel it's 100% crisp, exactly where the ball should be placed, if you weren't efficient at the top of your route, you're going to run it again until you really perfect it. He definitely is meticulous in the way he goes about his business. New teammates are also still adjusting to the awe factor of playing alongside a 6-time Super Bowl winner. Rookie Chappelle Russell gushed on Twitter. Tom Brady said, "What's up?" to me today. Yeah, that's the tweet. Toronto, Ontario, August 2nd. Michael Raffle, number 12 of the Philadelphia Flyers, has a few words as he has walked off the ice after a hit by Jeremy Lauzon of the Boston Bruins during Game 1 of the Eastern Conference qualification round prior to the 2020 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs at Scotiabank Arena on August 2, 2020 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Teammate Scott Laughton, number 21 of the Philadelphia Flyers, helps him off the ice. Photo by Andre Ringet. Freestyle photo. Getty Images. Getty Images. Alain Vigneault hadn't watched the replay yet, so he was hesitant to be too demonstrative about his comments, but he thought Jeremy Lauzon's hit on Michael Raffle that sent the Flyers' left wing to the locker room late in the third period was worth some extra scrutiny. In real time, the NBC announcers quickly dismissed the play as a garden variety hockey play, but in slow motion, they questioned whether it may have been a slew foot, which could earn Lauzon a possible suspension, especially because it resulted in an injury. As the two players skated toward the boards, Lauzon's left leg was up against Raffle's right leg when it went out from under him, causing Raffle's left leg to hit the boards awkwardly. Raffle, who scored Philadelphia's first goal, had to be helped up off the ice. It's unclear whether it was the result of two players skating at different speeds or if Lauzon had kicked Raffle's skate out from under him. Lauzon's case is helped by the fact that he never took his skate off the ice. It seemed like a slew foot there, Flyers coach Alain Vigneault said, and later added, "I looked at it quickly. It seemed close to being a slew foot. He fell awkwardly there. I'd have to look at the replay again." Scott Laughton went after Lauzon on the next play and both were called for penalties. Lauzon got a misconduct ending his afternoon. "I saw it late. I'll have to watch it again," Laughton said. "I'm not really sure what happened. Because the accusation was slew footing, there's likely to be added scrutiny." The play came a day after Winnipeg coach Paul Maurice called out Calgary's Matthew Tkachuk for the same crime against Jets star Mark Scheifele. Lauzon was suspended for 2 games in February for his hit to the head on Derek Stepan. If he does get disciplined, that could open up an opportunity for someone else, as Lauzon won the Bruins' 6th defenseman spot in return-to-play camp. Veteran John Moore, who has 48 career playoff games, including 10 last year under his belt, or Connor Clifton, who had 2 goals and 3 assists in 18 playoff games in 2019, could be in line for a chance. Related content: Boston Bruins still out of sync, fall to Philadelphia Flyers, 4-1, in first round robin game. Sunday, Bruins Yaroslav Halak not the problem or the answer, playing in place of Tuukka Rask for Boston in Sunday's loss. Tuukka Rask will miss Boston Bruins round robin game versus August 3, 2020, 9:52 am. Brian Callen doubled down on his denial of allegations of sexual assault and misconduct. The Goldbergs, actor, 53, posted an impassioned video on Instagram on Sunday to once again vehemently deny the accusations leveled by 4 women in the Los Angeles Times and announce he's, obviously, taking a leave of absence from his podcast, The Fighter and the Kid, which is co-hosted by former UFC fighter Brendan Schaub. "I never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting here defending myself for something I did not do 21 years ago," said Callen, referring to Catherine Fury Tigerman's allegation that he raped her at his house. "I categorically and absolutely deny all the allegations against me. I wanted you to see me say that. I didn't want to post some stale statement," he continued. "I wanted you to hear that come out of my mouth." Callen said he had been receiving advice to release a statement and then disappear, or lay low, but insisted he will not do that. I have been characterized as someone that no one who knows me, not my friends, not my family, not my fans, would ever recognize, he later said, and that's because that is not who I am. That is not something I could do, those are not things that I would ever do. That is not how I ever lived my life. The actor and comedian maintained that his video was not an attack the #MeToo movement. However, he took aim at the fact that social media and the press, alone, can act as judge, jury and executioner, without giving a person due process. By Liz Weston, NerdWallet money transfer apps including Venmo, Cash App and PayPal have surged in popularity during the pandemic as people seek safe, contactless ways to send and receive money. Unfortunately, many people don't understand the limitations of these payment platforms or how they can put someone's finances at risk. Like over-the-counter medicines, payment apps can be safe when used as directed, but people often don't read the directions, says James E. Lee, Chief Operating Officer for the Identity Theft Resource Center, a nonprofit that provides victim assistance and public education about identity theft. You've got to make sure that you're doing the right things, Lee says. Because if there is a weak point in these kinds of services, it is that your behavior may make it less secure. Mobile payment apps allow people to transfer money to others quickly, often for free. They may be downloaded to a phone or other mobile device or accessed online. Some payment systems are available via social media, email accounts or other apps. Apps such as Venmo and Cash App are known as peer-to-peer platforms because they're designed to facilitate transfers among friends and family. People can search for each other using email addresses, phone numbers or usernames, and money is usually transferred within 1 to 3 days. Some let users choose an instant transfer for a small fee. Other systems, including Samsung Pay, are meant for business transactions, such as paying a merchant online or at a register. A few options, including Apple Pay, Google Pay and PayPal, can be used for both personal and business transactions. Even before the pandemic, 79% of U.S. adults used mobile payment apps, according to a NerdWallet survey conducted in January. Since stay-at-home orders hit, use of the apps has soared as more commerce shifted online and people needed to send money to friends and family they couldn't see in person, says Adam Blacker, Vice President of Insights and Global Alliances for Apptopia, which tracks mobile application trends. Installations of the most popular payment apps, which averaged about 14 million per month before the pandemic, rose to 17 million in April and more than 20 million in May and June, Blacker says. Users launched the apps about 1.8 billion times this June, compared to 1.3 billion times in June 2019. Many people assume their payment apps offer protections similar to those of credit or debit cards, but that may not be the case, says Kathy Stokes, Director of Fraud Prevention Programs for AARP. For example, about half of you adults incorrectly believe that they could reverse a payment made through a peer-to-peer platform, according to an AARP survey conducted in November. If you change your mind, have a problem or make a mistake, input the wrong email address or phone number, for instance, you're usually at the mercy of the recipient. Connie Culp, the first patient in the U.S. to successfully undergo a partial face transplant, has died at age 57, 12 years after the groundbreaking surgery, of an unrelated complication, according to the Associated Press. Culp was the longest living recipient of a facial transplant to date. There have been approximately 40 such procedures completed worldwide, according to Cleveland Clinic. The second longest living transplant patient was Isabelle Denore, a French woman who underwent the world's first partial face transplant in 2005 and died of cancer in 2016, in part because of immunosuppressant medications, CNN reported. Culp's transplant was performed in 2008 at Cleveland Clinic, 4 years after her husband shot her in the face with a shotgun during an attempted murder-suicide. Despite 30 more minor surgeries to repair the damage, Culp was unable to breathe on her own, smell, or eat solid food. That changed following the transplant operation. A medical team led by Dr. Maria Simeonow spent 22 hours replacing 80% of Culp's face with new tissues from a donor. Soon after, Culp was able to smile, talk, breathe, and enjoy food, although she did not fully regain her expressiveness and her speech was sometimes difficult to understand. It was in 2011, following subsequent operations, that doctors said Culp had a normal face, according to the Associated Press. Culp went on to become an advocate for organ donors, appearing on TV news interviews about her experience. In 2010, she also met the family of donor Anna Casper, who died of a heart attack, and thanked them. She was a great pioneer, and her decision to undergo a sometimes daunting procedure is an enduring gift for all of humanity, Dr. Frank Papai, chair of Cleveland Clinic's Dermatology and Plastic Surgery Institute and Culp's surgical team, told the Associated Press. Patients of face transplants have to take immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of their lives to prevent their body from rejecting the donor tissue, according to the Mayo Clinic. A side effect of these drugs is increased risk of infection and illnesses, including cancer, diabetes, and kidney problems. Gum disease could be linked to higher risk of dementia, especially in severe cases. Scientists have created an Alzheimer's blood test that could be available within a few years. Americans are consuming less sugar and more sweeteners, but experts say that's not necessarily an improvement. The video shows Floyd repeatedly telling officers he was claustrophobic and asking not to be locked in a squad car. Malaysia Hammond, 19, places flowers at a memorial mural for George Floyd at the corner of Chicago Avenue and 38th Street, Sunday, May 31, 2020, in Minneapolis. Protests continued following the death of George Floyd, who died after being restrained by Minneapolis police officers on Memorial Day. AP photo, John Minchillo, copyright 2020, The Associated Press. All rights reserved. Houston, newly leaked bodycam footage shows the moments Houston raised George Floyd, 46, was arrested. In the disturbing video, Floyd is heard begging for the officers to not lock him in a squad car, shortly before he lost consciousness. The video, published by UK-based The Daily Mail, is part of the evidence against former Minneapolis officers, Derek Chauvin, Tu Thao, Thomas Lane and J. Alexander Kung. A Hennepin County judge last month allowed journalists and members of the public to view the footage by appointment, but has not yet ruled on a motion by a coalition of news organizations, including the Associated Press, seeking public access to the videos. While the source of the video was not immediately clear, NBC News reports that the video matches some of what was shown to the outlet at the courthouse during pre-trial hearings for the officers. Hennepin County District Court spokesman Spencer Bickett told the Star Tribune an investigation is underway into the leak, but declined further comment. Timeline. See a timeline of George Floyd's death and the events that transpired after. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, whose office is leading the prosecution of the 4 fired Minneapolis police officers charged in Floyd's death, said he was not the source of the leak. We will continue to take the strictest precautions to ensure a fair trial, Ellison said in a statement. Representatives of the Daily Mail did not immediately respond to an AP request for comment Monday. Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder and manslaughter. Lane, Kung and Thao are charged with aiding and abetting both second-degree murder and manslaughter. All 4 officers were fired. Copyright 2020 by KPRC. Click 2 Houston, all rights reserved. About the authors, Tulsi Kamath. Tulsi started as an enterprise reporter at KPRC2 in 2019. She specializes in-depth storytelling, going beyond the breaking headlines to provide context and understanding. She previously worked at the Houston Chronicle and was a member of the Pulitzer Prize finalist team for their coverage of Hurricane Harvey. A magnitude 3.5 earthquake was reported Monday afternoon at 3:18 p.m. Pacific Time in Placentia, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The earthquake occurred less than a mile from Yorba Linda, less than a mile from Anaheim, 1 mile from Orange and 2 miles from Fullerton. In the past 10 days, there have been 3 earthquakes of magnitude 3.0 or greater centered nearby. An average of 5 earthquakes with magnitudes between 3.0 and 4.0 occur per year in the greater Los Angeles area, according to a recent 3-year data sample. The earthquake occurred at a depth of 5.4 miles. Did you feel this earthquake? Consider reporting what you felt to the USGS. Even if you didn't feel this small earthquake, you never know when the big one is going to strike. Ready yourself by following our 5-step earthquake preparedness guide and building your own emergency kit. This story was automatically generated by QuakeBot, a computer application that monitors the latest earthquakes detected by the USGS. A Times editor reviewed the post before it was published. If you're interested in learning more about the system, visit our list of frequently asked questions. European stocks mostly inched lower Monday morning as another big week for corporate earnings kicked off, while U.S. lawmakers attempt to hammer out a new coronavirus aid package. The Pan-European Stoxx 600 slid 0.2% in early trade, with travel stocks shedding 1.8% to lead losses while chemicals and autos each added 0.6%. European markets received a mixed handover from Asia-Pacific, where Japanese and mainland Chinese stocks bounced after a private survey showed China's manufacturing activity expanding by more than expected in July, while most indexes in the region slid into the red. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said Sunday that he was not optimistic that a deal over new economic stimulus measures could be reached imminently, as lawmakers continue to negotiate on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, top infectious disease expert Deborah Birx cautioned that the virus has entered a new phase in the U.S. and is now extraordinarily widespread, in both cities and rural areas, casting further doubt over the prospect of a sharp recovery for the world's largest economy. Federal Reserve Neil Kashkari on Sunday suggested that Congress can afford to spend large sums on the fiscal relief effort, and advocated for a hard nationwide lockdown of 4 to 6 weeks in order to contain the virus. Geopolitical tensions continue to hang over investor sentiment, with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying Sunday that U.S. President Donald Trump is set to announce, in the coming days, new actions related to Chinese software companies viewed by his administration as a national security threat. July's final IHS Markit Manufacturing PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, reading for the Eurozone is due at 9 a.m. London time, and could offer an insight into the state of the bloc's industrial recovery. Société Générale on Monday posted a surprise net loss of €1.26 billion $1.48 billion for the second quarter, missing analyst expectations on the back of increased loan loss provisions due to the coronavirus pandemic. The French lender's shares traded 1.8% lower Monday morning. HSBC reported a 65% year-over-year plunge in pre-tax profits for the first 6 months of 2020, also missing projections as a result of sharply increased provisions for bad loans. Europe's largest bank by assets saw its shares slide 4.9% in early trade. Heineken pulled its interim dividend after swinging to a first-half loss, but said business had picked up since the height of worldwide lockdown measures in April. The Dutch brewer's stock dropped to 5%. At the top of the Stoxx 600, Swedish radiation therapy provider Elekta jumped 12%, while aircraft engine makers slid to the bottom of the European Blue Chip Index, with MTU Aero Engines and Rolls-Royce both falling more than 6%. The Food and Drug Administration has approved the emergency use of a Biomed's Impella heart pump to help treat COVID-19 patients suffering from heart and lung failure, the company announced Tuesday. In 1 in 10 patients, the virus results in extreme inflammation of the heart, in addition to a buildup of fluid in the lungs. For 42-year-old Devon Smith, who had no history of heart disease, the combination proved nearly fatal in May. This wasn't a heart attack in the traditional sense. It was a pure case of myocarditis, or inflammation of the heart muscle, said Dr. John Finley, a cardiologist at Mercy Catholic Medical Center outside Philadelphia. No sooner than we'd get him back to the ICU, that he arrested probably 10 to 15 times. Doctors at Mercy had first put Smith on a ventilator, but when his heart began to fail they decided to try using a Biomed's Impella heart pump to try to give his heart muscle a rest, in combination with an extracorporeal membrane oxygenation machine to pump more oxygen into his bloodstream. It's a dual treatment normally used for high-risk cardiac patients. After 5 days, Smith was able to come off the machines and within a few weeks he had fully recovered. It makes you look at life and appreciate life much better now, knowing that, 2 months ago, Basically I would have died, said Smith, who recently returned to his job as a warehouse worker in Philadelphia. The Impella is not a new device, but it's the first time it has received FDA approval of the emergency use for treating the heart in combination with an ECMO for coronavirus patients. It's been around for a while because people have noticed that if a patient has to go on ECMO, sometimes the ECMO puts too much of a load on the heart, said Dr. Charles Simonton, a Biomed chief medical officer, but it does have a unique application for COVID, since there's no other option like this for patients. Earlier this summer, the FDA authorized the emergency use of Biomed's Impella as a standalone treatment to stabilize COVID patients following the removal of pulmonary blood clots. Smith was one of 3 patients who received the combination treatment in Pennsylvania this spring, and all 3 patients recovered. While COVID-19 patients often suffer continuing health issues after recovery, in Smith's case there are no apparent physical after effects. His heart is normal, which is incredible. They even did a cardiac MRI to look for a scar or residual inflammation and it was normal, as were his lungs and kidneys, said Finley. They saved my life. Smith said. A million times I say thank you. August 2, 2020, 10:58 p.m. Enlarge image Frank Ocean and his brother, Ryan Bro, in an undated photo. Twitter Frank Ocean's 18-year-old brother and a second young man were both killed early Sunday when a car they were riding in crashed into a tree and went up in flames in Southern California, according to a local report. The Grammy-winning singer's younger sibling, Ryan Bro, and the teen's former classmate Ezekiel, Zeke, Bishop, 20, were cruising in a Tesla that veered off Westlake Boulevard in Thousand Oaks at around 1:40 a.m., the Acorn reported. Ventura County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene to discover the car fully engulfed in flames, the department said. The 2 occupants were pronounced dead at the scene. It wasn't immediately clear who was behind the wheel or what caused the fiery crash. The victims, both members of the Oaks Christian High School class of 2019, had been driving south near Skelton Canyon when their car left the road and smashed into a tree in the center median. Speed could have been a factor, authorities said. The speed limit is north of 45 miles per hour, Deputy Wendell Campbell told KTLA. It's a nice big stretch of road, so sometimes people do pick up speed. The sheriff's department said it was waiting for the Ventura County Medical Examiner's office to notify next of kin before officially releasing the identity of the occupants. Still, fans flooded social media on Sunday night to express their condolences to the Ivy singer and friends posted touching tributes to Bro. A rep for Ocean, 32, didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Google has replaced its homepage logo with a doodle honoring Vicki Draves, the first Asian American woman to win an Olympic medal. On this day 72 years ago, during the 1948 Summer Olympics in London, Vicki Draves won gold medals for both 10-meter platform and 3-meter springboard diving, making her the first woman to win gold in both diving events and the first Asian American woman to win any Olympic medal. To make that incredible Olympic victory possible, Vicki Draves had to overcome incredible adversity. With the 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor still fresh on many Americans' minds, Draves, despite being half Filipino, not Japanese, was frequently discriminated against and even barred from practicing in higher-end pools in San Francisco. Defying the discrimination, Vicki Draves still proudly represented the United States in the 1948 Olympics. Over on the official Doodle blog, Google got the chance to interview members of Vicki Draves' family, including one of her 4 sons, David, who shared how Draves was just as great of a mother as she was a diver. Growing up with a mother who was an Olympian came with notoriety, but she was always first and foremost, my mom. So that part was pretty ordinary. And as a mom, she had her work cut out for her. I was a handful by myself, and then came my 3 brothers. With all the success and fame my parents received for their amazing achievements and contributions to the sport of diving, the one thing they both showed my brothers and I was humility. To win was one thing, but to be gracious and humble were the attributes of a true champion. Just last week, Google celebrated another legendary Filipina with a doodle in memory of artist and activist Pasita Abad. More Google doodles. Google Doodle honors Dylan Eryart. Apollo 11 astronomer Google celebrates 4th of July with animated homepage doodle. Fireworks on search. Google Doodle honors LGBTQ+ activist Marsha P. Johnson to close out Pride Month. FTC. We use income-earning auto affiliate links. More. Check out 9 to 5 Google on YouTube for more news about the author Kyle Bradshaw's favorite gear. Ashley Landis. Associated Press. Jason Tatum took the court on Sunday for the Boston Celtics with a different look from the curls he'd cultivated since the team's arrival in Orlando. He had intended to cut his hair before the Celtics' opening loss to the Milwaukee Bucks on Friday, but his mother and grandmother insisted he play at least one game with it. After his abysmal performance that night, he had to switch something up before facing the Portland Trail Blazers. "I guess it was a coincidence that I went 2 for 18 and then cut my hair," Tatum said after the game. Maybe it was the haircut, or maybe Tatum, 22 years old, just wasn't going to shoot that badly for 2 games in a row. But the Tatum who showed up to Sunday's 128-124 win against Portland, the one who finished with 34 points, 4 rebounds and a career-high 8 assists, was much closer to the all-star he's blossomed into in his 3rd season. Tatum shot 11 of 22 from the field and 5 of 8 from three-point range, including 21 points in the first half as Boston opened up a 19-point lead over Portland. When the Blazers clawed back from that deficit, even taking the lead late in the 4th quarter, it was Jaylen Brown's shot-making that helped the Celtics hold them off. Bleacher Report. At Bleacher Report, the Tatum-Brown duo couldn't be stopped today. Tatum, 34 PTS 8 ast 583 PT Brown, 30 PTS 6 reb 683 PT. Celtics beat Blazers 128-124. https://t.co/th5erzognex 2 wings combined for 64 of Boston's 128 points in a game that served as a reminder of how dangerous the Celtics can be, not only in the restart but in the years to come, with Brown, just 23, and Tatum as their linchpins. Boston's ceiling in the Disney restart is likely limited by Kemba Walker's lingering knee issues, which the Celtics are attempting to manage before the playoffs start later this month. Walker played just 22 minutes Sunday and sat in crunch time as the Blazers mounted a comeback. He finished with 14 points on 5 of 6 shooting in those limited minutes. Walker's health may prevent Boston from competing with the Bucks, Raptors and Heat in the East this year, but the leaps that Tatum and Brown have made in their 3rd and 4th years, respectively, give the Celtics among the brightest futures in the league. Team president Danny Ainge spent years focusing on collecting draft picks to trade for superstars rumored to be available while the Celtics fielded surprisingly competitive teams. Now, the organizational focus seems to be entirely on creating stability with the current core. Now that they're at that point, they will benefit from the postseason experience these young players have already accumulated. The Celtics made the Eastern Conference Finals in Tatum's rookie year, and the semifinals last season. "We're young guys, but we've got a decent amount of playoff experience," Tatum said. "We've been in some big games, some big moments. We're 2 extremely confident guys that want to make the right plays." Last week, when it seemed as if the Phillies were going to play their scheduled games against the Yankees, I wrote a preview of the series. As you may know, the Phillies didn't actually play those games. I was going to reuse some of the content I wrote for that preview, but unfortunately, much of it is now obsolete. What I'm trying to say is that I'm the real victim here. As for the cancellations, I understand having an abundance of caution regarding a potential COVID-19 outbreak. But it isn't a good sign for the fate of the season that the team had a week's worth of games cancelled without a single player testing positive for the virus. Now that the presumably healthy Phillies are ready to take the field again, let's rehash what happened the last time the Phillies played an actual game. It was an ugly affair in which, surprise, Vince Velasquez did not pitch well. Because of that dud, the Phillies lost the series, and thanks to the Marlins' laissez-faire attitude towards the virus, a week's worth of games. Perhaps the week off will help the Phillies perform better than they did against the Marlins. Based on how badly they looked in 2 of those games, it probably couldn't hurt. New York Yankees record, 7-1 manager, Aaron Boone. The last time they met, the Yankees visited Citizens Bank Park for 3 games in June 2018 and won 2 of the 3 games. The finale was won by the Phillies behind a combined shutout by Zach Eflin and Seranthony Dominguez. The good news is that one of those two men is expected to pitch this week. The bad news being that the other man might never pitch again. Joe goes home. The Phillies' first two opponents of the season are the two teams Joe Girardi used to manage. It's doubtful he has too many feelings either way regarding the Marlins, but I have to think that the games against the Yankees might mean a little bit more to Girardi. He managed the Yankees for 10 years, and was at the helm when the Yankees won the 2009 World Series. Now let us never speak of it again. Some say he was fired unfairly, as the 2017 Yankees would likely have made the World Series if not for the Astros' cheating ways. Others say he had grown stale, and the team was right to move on from him. Either way, he's now in charge of the Phillies, and despite what I might have said last week, I consider that to be an upgrade. Under normal circumstances, I imagine Girardi would have received a warm ovation from the Yankee Stadium fans upon his return. Maybe the stadium sound people can just pump in some additional cheers in his honor. Speaking of the fans, one benefit of not having fans in seats for these games is that we don't have to deal with the hordes of Yankee fans who would otherwise infested the stands of Citizens Bank Park. I've discussed the insufferableness of Yankees fans at length in the past, so no need to rehash. Let friends in your social network know what you are reading about. Stunning video shows huge blast but cause and number of fatalities in Lebanon's capital are unknown. Port is decimated. Live updates here. A link has been sent to your friend's email address. A link has been posted to your Facebook feed. A huge explosion shook downtown Beirut, Lebanon, injuring a number of people and causing widespread damage. Storyful Beirut. Massive explosions rocked downtown Beirut on Tuesday, flattening much of the port, damaging buildings and blowing out windows and doors as a giant mushroom cloud rose above the capital. Lebanese Red Cross official Georges Ketane reported hundreds of casualties, people wounded or killed. Beirut's Governor Marwan Aboud called it a national catastrophe, and the Prime Minister declared a day of mourning, according to CNN. It resembles to what happened in Japan, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's what it reminds me of. In my life, I haven't seen destruction on this scale, Aboud said. Copyright 2020 USA Today, a division of Gannett Satellite Information Network, LLC. Dow update published August 3, 2020 at 9:45 a.m. ET. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up Monday morning with shares of Microsoft and Apple Inc. seeing positive growth for the index. Shares of Microsoft MSFT, plus 5.87% and Apple Inc. AAPL, plus 2.65% have contributed to the index's intraday rally, as the Dow DJIA, plus 0.92% is trading 130 points higher, 0.5%. Microsoft's shares have risen $9.57, 4.7%, while those of Apple Inc. have risen $18.09, or 4.3%, combining for a roughly 190-point bump for the Dow. Merck MRK, plus 2.84%, Visa V, plus 0.26%, and Intel INTC, plus 1.18% are also contributing significantly to the gain. A $1 move in any one of the 30 components of the Dow results in a 6.86-point swing. Editor's note: this story was auto-generated by Automated Insights using data from Dow Jones and FactSet. See our market data terms of use. Updated August 3, 2026 19 a.m. Eastern Time, original August 2, 2020 9:36 p.m. ET. Order reprints. Print article. Text size. Manjanath Kiran, AFP via Getty Images. Microsoft on Sunday confirmed it is holding talks with China-based ByteDance to buy the U.S. operations of its TikTok unit. Microsoft said that its CEO, Satya Nadella, has discussed the situation with President Trump, who has threatened to ban the service in the U.S. over security concerns. Microsoft fully appreciates the importance of addressing the president's concerns, the company said in a blog post. It is committed to acquiring TikTok subject to a complete security review and providing proper economic benefits to the United States, including the United States Treasury. The company said it intends to complete the discussions with ByteDance no later than September 15 and added that it looks forward to continuing dialogue with the United States government, including with the president. Microsoft, ticker MSFT, and ByteDance have notified the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. CFIUS of a proposal for Microsoft to buy the TikTok service in the U.S., Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Microsoft said it may invite other American investors to take a minority stake. This new structure would build on the experience TikTok users currently love, while adding world-class security, privacy, and digital safety protections, the company said. The operating model for the service would be built to ensure transparency to users as well as appropriate security oversight by governments in these countries. Microsoft said it would ensure that all private data of TikTok's American users is transferred to and remains in the United States. To the extent that any such data is currently stored or backed up outside the United States, Microsoft would ensure that this data is deleted from servers outside the country after it is transferred. Microsoft said that the talks are preliminary, and might not result in a deal. We do not intend to provide further updates until there is a definitive outcome to our discussions, the company said. TikTok had issued a statement Saturday, in response to reports that the president planned to ban the app. These are the facts. 100 million Americans come to TikTok for entertainment and connection, especially during the pandemic, a spokesperson said. We've hired nearly 1,000 people to our U.S. team this year alone, and are proud to be hiring another 10,000 employees into great-paying jobs across the U.S. Our $1 billion Creator Fund supports U.S. creators who are building livelihoods from our platform. TikTok U.S. user data is stored in the U.S., with strict controls on employee access. TikTok's biggest investors come from the U.S. We are committed to protecting our users' privacy and safety as we continue working to bring joy to families and meaningful careers to those who create on our platform. Orlando Magic player Jonathan Isaac suffered a season-ending injury over the weekend. He was one of 2 NBA players to stand for the national anthem while others kneeled. Photo: Getty Images. Orlando Magic forward Jonathan Isaac probably did not want to make the news this way. Since the restart to the NBA season in the midst of a global pandemic has gone mostly smoothly so far, Isaac likely believed that he'd be focused more on helping the Magic make the playoffs than anything else. Read more. Simone Biles debuts new NFL boyfriend Jonathan Owens on Instagram. Jonathan Isaac, number 1 of the Orlando Magic, stands as others kneel before the start of a game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Orlando Magic on July 31, 2020 at the HP Fieldhouse at ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Photo by Ashley Landis. Pool. Getty Images. But first, Isaac sparked controversy when he stood during the national anthem while the rest of his Magic teammates kneeled in Black Lives Matter t-shirts to show their support for social justice issues. Despite backlash from some quarters and an increase in jersey sales from others, Isaac, a devout Christian, said that he just didn't believe kneeling was the way to show his support. 2 days later, Isaac made news again when he went down with a torn ACL during a game against the Sacramento Kings on Sunday. The player was wheeled off the court and will not return for the rest of the season. Jonathan Isaac, number 1 of the Orlando Magic, reacts after an injury against the Sacramento Kings in the second half of an NBA basketball game at HP Fieldhouse at ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex on August 2, 2020 in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Photo by Kim Clement. Pool. Getty Images. Isaac, 22, averaged 11.9 points, 6.8 rebounds, 2.3 blocks and 1.6 steals this season but missed 31 games with an injury in his left knee. It is the same knee he tore the ACL in. Isaac tweeted that he was encouraged by prayers and support from his fans and expected to make a comeback. Share. Russell Westbrook scored 31 points and James Harden added 24 Sunday to rally the Houston Rockets over NBA overall leader Milwaukee 122-116 despite a big night for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks led 112-104 after Chris Middleton's three-pointer with 3:14 to play, but Houston closed the game with a 16-4 run. "It's amazing," Westbrook said. "We fought through. Adversity showed up and we showed off. All the guys in our locker room showed up to play for 48 minutes. The Rockets went 21 of 61 from three-point range, matching an NBA record for the most three-point attempts by a club in a non-overtime game, with Danuel House hitting 4 and Harden among 5 other players who landed 3 from outside the arc. "You have to make the right reads and trust your teammates, and that's what I tried to do all night long," said Westbrook. Trending. A summer slump may strike stocks. After the S&P 500 gained 5% in July, CFRA's Sam Stovall sees it falling 5% to 10% over the next 2 months. "We have a lot of concerns out there, in particular the overbought condition of the market right now, tech and large cap dominance, the concerns surrounding soaring gold prices, the falling dollar, historically low interest rates, as well as just traditional optimism," the firm's chief investment strategist told CNBC's Trading Nation on Monday. Yet, the market kickoff to August didn't reflect the risks. With potential headway on a coronavirus aid bill and Microsoft announcing its intention to buy TikTok in a multi-billion-dollar deal, the S&P 500 and tech-heavy Nasdaq were off to a running start. The S&P gained 0.9%, while the Nasdaq rallied 1.6% to a record high. But Stovall said the enthusiasm will have a short shelf life. Stovall, who has been on Wall Street since 1985, warns the market faces ominous seasonality in August and September. Over the last 25 years, the S&P on average has fallen in price by about 1% in August, he said. Only utilities and technology have been able to eke out advances. He notes defensive groups such as gold, food distributors and water utilities typically perform best in late summer, while consumer discretionary and industrials face the most challenges. Even though 2020 is far from a typical year, Stovall contends historical trends still apply. Certainly, the catalysts change over time. But reactions to those catalysts don't, mainly because of human emotional involvement, he said. Despite his sell-off forecast, Stovall said he believes the bull market is back. He sees the S&P 500 at 3,435 next summer, a 1% gain from the all-time high hit last February. He's in the virus vaccine camp, and he's not getting spooked by the weakening dollar. It has more to do with the improvement of what is being seen overseas rather than the big concern as to what will likely happen here in the US. "I don't see inflation becoming a major concern," said Stovall. "We had a similar situation when Ben Bernanke was Fed chair, that he basically flooded the system with cash. But we did not end up buying loaves of bread with wheelbarrows full of dollars." He expects the dollar will make multinational companies more attractive. "Investors will do what they normally have done, and in this kind of a scenario I think that they will engage in rotation among sectors as well as rotation among regions, rather than retreating from stocks altogether," Stovall said. The dollar index is off more than 5% over the past 3 months. Pinterest saw its global user base surge and its international advertising strategy take shape as the world grappled with a novel coronavirus outbreak last quarter, CEO Ben Silbermann told CNBC on Monday. The app saw user growth especially in Western Europe, Latin America, Brazil and parts of Asia, and the company is focused on replicating its success in the US overseas, he said in a Mad Money interview. International revenue only comprised about 9% of overall revenue last year this time, Silbermann explained to Jim Cramer. Now, it's up to 15%, and so we're starting to see this same formula that's working really well for businesses here in the United States also work well for advertisers around the world. Pinterest on Friday reported bringing in $272 million in revenue in the second quarter, a period impaired by reductions in advertising spend as countries shut down to slow the spread of COVID-19. That figure is up 4% from a year ago. Monthly active users worldwide reached 416 million, a 39% increase from the year-ago quarter, as more people turned to the internet while they spent more time at home. The company also expanded its advertising clients, with small and medium-sized businesses making up almost half of the advertising dollars. Pinterest expects to continue riding the momentum, despite a pandemic-induced economic downturn that has buckled a range of industries. The tech company said last week that it projects July revenue alone could come in 50% higher year-over-year and that revenue in the current quarter could grow more than 30%. To me, what that says is that need to get inspiration, and to plan what you might want to do in your future, that's something that's pretty global and that sits alongside other needs people have to connect with their friends or to read their news, Silberman said of the growing interest in the platform. But Pinterest can really serve that first one. So I think that tailwind will continue. Pinterest also received a revenue windfall from an advertising boycott on Facebook, which boasts about 8 million advertisers, last month that was led by civil rights groups looking to pressure the social media giant to do more to curtail hate speech and misinformation posted to the platform. A long list of well-known corporations such as Verizon, Starbucks and Ford joined in on the boycott and pledged to pull their ads at least for the month. While the boycott may not significantly dent Facebook's bottom line, the impact on a much smaller competitor such as Pinterest is tangible. When asked if the windfall from the boycott will be sustainable for Pinterest, Silberman suggested that the moment would come and go but that the company is zeroed in on creating an inspirational platform. Owners and the captain of an illegal New York City party boat were arrested for violating social distancing provisions and operating an unlicensed bar, New York City sheriff said early Sunday. The party boat, identified as the Liberty Bell, is a popular venue that has 4 decks and a maximum capacity of 600 guests, according to Empire Cruises, which operates the boat. The New York Daily News reported that the boat returned to a pier in Manhattan Saturday evening after leaving earlier that evening with over 100 passengers on board for a 1920-themed party. Earlier that day, a photo of the boat was shared on social media. Mayor Bill de Blasio has ordered New York City to cancel programming at indoor venues with consistent seating capacity over 500, and requires establishments with a capacity of 500 ppl or less to operate below 50% of their legal capacity to ensure maximum social distancing. Empire Cruises stated on their official website that they have not operated until further notice since March. The company did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment. Rafael Devers hit his first homer of the season Sunday, a solo shot to right field, to put the Sox ahead 7-6 in the 7th inning. At that point, the Red Sox had everything set up perfectly. Marcus Walden pitched a perfect bottom of the 7th, but in the 8th Barnes imploded. With 2 outs in the inning and nobody on, Barnes walked Mike Tauchman, the no.9 hitter who had entered the game as a defensive replacement. Tauchman stole second and DJ LeMahieu singled up the middle to bring in Tauchman. Barnes then left a hanging curveball over the heart of the plate to Aaron Judge, who hammered his second home run of the game, a tie-breaking 2-run shot. "You can't walk the 9-hole hitter to get to the top of their order," Barnes said after the game. Barnes retired the 2 previous hitters rather handily. Gary Sanchez flied out to center and Gio Urshela struck out. But Barnes fell behind Tauchman quickly, walking him on a 3-1 count. Now, consider the scenario. Tauchman can run a little and Barnes is slow to the plate. Kevin Plawecki, not Christian Vasquez, who was in at the designated hitter's spot so he could get a breather, was behind the plate. This made it the ideal time for the Yankees to try to swipe a bag, yes, even with 2 outs. Worst case scenario, you go into the bottom of the 9th inning with the top of your order, facing a shaky Brandon Workman. Best case scenario, you move into scoring position with one of your best run producers in LeMahieu up at bat. In short, the best case scenario happened. LeMahieu kept the line moving. When they steal second, they're off Barnes. LeMahieu, he can get base hits, manager Ron Ronicki said. As for Judge, he's been hot. That was his 2nd homer of the day, and his 6th homer in 5 days. Aaron Judge follows through on an 8th inning, 2-run homer Sunday against the Red Sox. Kathy Willens, Associated Press, "He killed us the entire series," Bogaerts said. Barnes fell behind Judge 2-0. He wanted to get a curveball down and away. Judge is hammering anything in the zone. But Barnes' curve caught too much of the plate and Judge took advantage of it, hammering the pitch 468 feet. You can't do that to a guy that, 1, is locked in, 2, that's got the power that he's got. It just was a poor sequence of events there. The upcoming Rays series won't be any easier for the Sox, but they hope to get on a roll soon. Anytime you lose a game like this, it's tough, Roenicke said. It's tough when you know you have it set up how you want. It didn't work out. Black small square. The Sox used Austin Brice as their opener. With a runner on first in the first, Brice issued back-to-back walks to Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Hicks. Brice wiggled out of it, but when Sox left-hander Matt Hall came in for the next inning, the outcome wasn't as forgiving. Urshela reached base on a single, and with one out in the frame Hall walked LeMahieu. So close, yet so far. The Memphis Grizzlies failed in their comeback efforts, and the San Antonio Spurs never die. Jaren Jackson Jr., Ja Morant, and Grayson Allen made big shots in the fourth quarter. However, the mid-range brilliance of DeMar DeRozan, and whatever Dillon Brooks was doing, stopped the Grizzlies from extending their lead for the 8th seed. There were plenty of adjustments for the Grizzlies to take this one. Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. could have had more first-half looks. Dillon Brooks could have found his game within the offense. The Grizzlies could have taken advantage of the Spurs' size, or lack thereof, and running the offense through Jackson, Jonas Valanciunas, and Brandon Clark. However, it wasn't enough, and the Grizzlies dropped their second straight game. Let's give out some grades. Photo by Joe Murphy, NBA via Getty Images. Grayson Allen, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 5-9 shooting from the field, 3-6 from deep, +4. Grayson Allen kept this team in the game. The Grizzlies bench couldn't get anything, but Allen's steadiness kept the team afloat. He does a great job of playing within the offense and his own limits, which results in him not forcing anything. Offensively, he ran lanes well and collected himself in transition to fire from beyond the arc. Defensively, he simply works his tail off to at least be a neutral defender, despite his physical limitations. Given his performance in this game, and throughout the bubble, Allen's won over a lot of people, garnering starter recognition. Fantastic for a player whose season was originally lost due to a nasty hip injury. Also, PSA, grade, A. Photo by Joe Murphy, NBA via Getty Images. Jaren Jackson Jr. 21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 8-13 shooting, 2-5 from 3, +4. Ja Morant 25 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 10-18 shooting, +1. I'm lumping these two guys together here, because I have the same message: they need more shot attempts. You'll rush to the comments to say that Dillon Brooks stole those shots from them, but the two franchise cornerstones need to demand the ball in their hands, and they need to look for more scoring opportunities throughout the game. When they had that attack mentality, both players were unstoppable. Once Ja caught his defender and either Jakob Poeltl or Drew Eubanks in the pick and roll, he feasted inside. He was also doing that against Derek White and DeJounte Murray, two guys that are regarded as two of the league's best perimeter defenders. Jaren Jackson Jr. also looked like a big guard, getting to the rim with an array of handles, despite having a perimeter player on him at all times. If they're generating these kind of numbers on this level of volume, imagine what they could have done with 18-23 each shots in this one. Regardless, it's truly marvelous to see the franchise's 20-year-old cornerstones ball out in big, playoff-level games. This is huge for their development, and that's the goal for this season. The current Kodak stock price value has been on a roller coaster since the announcement Tuesday between Kodak and the U.S. government, with the company to receive a $765 million loan to produce drug ingredients. Think Kodak retirees are now rolling in the dough with the stock surge? Think again. The old stock that was once under the symbol EK before it was delisted in January 2012 is different to the current stock KODK, which started trading on the New York Stock Exchange in November 2013. On Monday at 4 p.m., the stock was $2.62. By Wednesday, July 29 at 2 p.m., it soared to $46.03. It closed Friday at $21.85 but fell in the first hour of trading Monday. All that market volatility came too late for Kodak retiree Pin Chang of Irondequoit, who long ago dumped all his EK Kodak stock. Chang, 86, worked as an electrical engineer from 1967 until retirement in 1990. It wasn't going anywhere, said Chang, who noted that Kodak stock was never part of his retirement strategy. Kodak offered employees the option to buy without commissions, and while he did during his work years, he divested during the down years. Chang and his wife Shirley have other investments they are living on, such as individual retirement accounts. Loss of direction for Kodak. Retired electrical engineer Brian Yi, the catalyst for selling his Kodak stock after retirement was the direction management took in the 1990s. Yi said he lost faith when former CEO George Fisher took the helm in 1993. Setbacks at the company during the Fisher era included operational losses and a fierce challenge from competitor Fujifilm. Yi said he sold all his Kodak stock more than 20 years ago. "I thought Kodak was hopeless," said Yi, 82, who retired from the company in 1990 after 25 years. Kodak management was poor. Yi lives with his artist wife Emily in Pittsford. As to whether he intends on buying the new Kodak stock with news of the pharmaceutical investment, Yi said, "I won't touch it. This is only temporary," Yi added. "When it comes to investments, it's best to have a well-rounded portfolio," said Robert Barley of Barley Financial Services in Henrietta. As far as possible investing in Kodak stock, Barley advises to only buy if you can afford to lose. Barley noted that Kodak filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January 2012. The bankruptcy wiped out legacy shareholders. Kodak rose from bankruptcy and relisted shares in November 2013, starting at $26.50, with revamped business units such as graphics, entertainment and films. There's a lot of interest from Barley's clients in Kodak right now, but he cautions would-be investors to approach methodically. Right now, Barley sees wild swings in the stock price, which leads him to believe speculators are on the stock taking profit. "To buy the stock right now is speculative," Barley said. MCHAO at Gannett.com. Or, Kodak aims to be one of greatest second acts in American industry, add 300+ jobs. A relationship doesn't need to cement itself on the Instagram grid to be real, but cute selfies never hurt. And romance is in the air for Olympic icon Simone Biles, who shared some adorable snaps with her new boyfriend, NFL player Jonathan Owens, over the weekend. The gold medalist posted 2 photos in a series, both of which feature her beaming smile. In one photo, Jonathan looks directly into the camera with a coy smile of his own on his face. In the second, he leans over to kiss Simone's neck. "It's just us," she wrote in the caption. Fans understandably cheered her on. Jonathan plays safety for the Houston Texans, which works out perfectly for Simone, who lives in the Texas city. According to People, she previously posted photos and videos of Jonathan on her Instagram story, including one in celebration of his 25th birthday in July. In her cover interview for Vogue, Simone confirmed that she and ex-boyfriend Stacey Irvin Jr. had ended their relationship in March. "It's hard being young and having that long of a relationship and then ending it," she told the magazine of the split. "But it was for the best. She's already thriving in her best." The all-star athlete recently posted a photo in a cream tank and leopard shorts, and captioned the image, "New life who dis." Jonathan commented with 2 very telling emoji, including the heart eyes. Jonathan was first drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in 2018 but was waived from the team due to injuries. He signed to the Texans in 2019 under a reserved future contract. While he's not on the field right now, he seems to be enjoying time with his new love. Let us slide into your DMs. Sign up for the Teen Vogue Daily Email. Want more from Teen Vogue? Check this out. Simone Biles debuted a major hair transformation. Simone Biles basically just won the handstand challenge. Hobe Sound, Florida, May 24. NFL player Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers reacts on the 7th green during the match. Champions for Charity at Medalist Golf Club on May 24, 2020 in Hobe Sound, Florida. Photo by Mike Ehrmann. Getty Images. For the match, Tom Brady had an epic response to his birthday message from Michael Strahan. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback celebrated birthday No. 43 on Monday. The 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback received plenty of heartwarming messages on social media. Former New York Giants star Michael Strahan, who beat Brady in the Super Bowl, sent Brady a message on Twitter. Strahan included a photo from his Super Bowl win over New England. "Happy birthday, Tom Brady. Enjoy the day, my brother." "Yes, I had to use this photo again," Strahan wrote on Twitter. Brady did not hesitate to respond to the message. The former New England Patriots quarterback had quite the message for the former Giants star. "Thanks, Mike. Guess we'll just have to run it back, on a football field, where I still go to work every day," Brady quipped. Strahan, of course, retired from the NFL following the 2007 season. The former New York Giants star played from 1993 to 2007, making 7 Pro Bowls and 6 All-Pro teams. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2014. Brady, meanwhile, is still going strong at age 43. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback will look to lead his new team to a Super Bowl this fall. Tampa Bay is scheduled to open the year on Sunday, September 13th against New Orleans. Raleigh, NC, WTVD, Tropical Storm Isaias is maintaining its status as a powerful storm and is expected to be near hurricane strength by the time it reaches the Carolinas in the next 24 hours. The storm is expected to impact North Carolina late Monday night into early Tuesday with rain, wind and possible flooding. As of 5 a.m., Isaias was about 115 miles east-southeast of Jacksonville, Florida. Maximum sustained winds were 70 miles per hour with movement to the north at 9 miles per hour. The storm's current trajectory has it making landfall between Charleston, South Carolina and Wilmington and tracking through the eastern part of North Carolina. Tropical storm warnings are in effect along and east of Interstate 95. A tropical storm watch is out for Wake County. Warnings are issued when winds of 39 to 73 miles per hour are expected in the region within the next 36 hours. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper and the state's emergency management leaders will share updates on the state's preparations for the storm at 3 p.m. Also, families enjoy summer weather along Wrightsville Beach as Isaias soon approaches. The National Hurricane Center says the Florida East Coast will see tropical storms conditions and dangerous storm surge through early Monday. Isaias was downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm Saturday afternoon. The National Hurricane Center forecasts a moderate 20% chance of flash flooding for much of the ABC 11 viewing area. A flash flood watch is in effect for much of the state. Since its conception, Isaias has teetered the line between tropical storm and a Category 1 hurricane. For Isaias to reach Category 1 hurricane status, it must have maximum sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or higher. Either way, Isaias will still bring flooding and damaging wind gusts to the Carolinas. Check for the latest tropical storm warnings. Watches in your area. Bands of heavy rain from Isaias lashed Florida's east coast Sunday while officials dealing with surging cases of the coronavirus kept a close watch on the weakened tropical storm. On Sunday afternoon, NHC said dangerous storm surge is possible from Edisto Beach, South Carolina to Cape Fear, North Carolina. Know your zone. NC officials provide guidance as state prepares for 2020 hurricane season. A tropical storm watch is now in effect for North and South Carolina. President Trump approved a disaster declaration for parts of North Carolina, primarily focused around the coast, and central NC counties including Wake, Durham, Johnston, Orange and Cumberland counties. Governor Roy Cooper on Sunday reminded residents to put together an emergency kit, follow local evacuation orders, stay in a safe place and never drive through flooded roadways. How to contact Duke Energy, Wake Electric, FAYPWC. He noted that flash flooding is expected, especially near the Neuse and Tar rivers. Widespread power outages are also expected. Stocks climbed Monday as economic stimulus talks are being discussed on Capitol Hill and tech stocks continue to soar. The expiration of emergency unemployment benefits, which gave millions of Americans $600 in pandemic unemployment assistance, has markets looking to Congress for a follow-up stimulus package, but weekend talks passed without a deal. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill carried talks on a new stimulus package into the weekend Saturday, and while both sides hailed good progress from the meetings, Republicans and Democrats remain at least $1 trillion apart on their proposed bills. In fact, the Nasdaq hit an intraday high shortly after trading opened on Monday. Apple was trading higher following reports that the Cupertino, California, tech giant had bought Waived, a Montreal startup with technology that could transform iPhones into mobile payment terminals, for about $100 million. Microsoft also advancing after the Redmond, Wash, software behemoth confirmed that it would continue to negotiate with ByteDance to explore a purchase of its popular social media platform TikTok in the U.S. The Trump administration has upped its pressure on the Chinese government in recent months and threatened to ban TikTok. Watch, why Jim Cramer's not sure if Microsoft is the right buyer for TikTok share of ADT soared after the provider of security solutions said that it and Alphabet's Google partnered on a new line of smart home security devices, software and services. So, what's Jim Cramer watching? You can follow Jim Cramer and Catherine Ross on Twitter at @JimCramer and @ByCatherineRoss. Read more from Catherine Ross here. Latest videos from the street and Jim Cramer. Coronavirus update. Eli Lilly starts late-stage trial for antibody drug in nursing homes. Apple needs to show lifetime value of iPhone user. Cramer says who has the power to delay the presidential election? What Apple's 4-for-1 stock split means for investors. Coca-Cola enters the alcoholic beverage market with Topo Chico hard seltzer. Movies you won't be seeing in 2020.